And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Between the Lines podcast, where all things MLB news, all that good shit. So before we get into it, if you guys are new, make sure you hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. Make sure to ring that notification bell. All that good stuff. All the check us out. Links start down below. Man.
Before we start the show, little hiccup there from me. This was supposed to start at what, 6?
6.
Yeah, it was supposed to start at 6. I ended up taking a nap until a few minutes ago. I had just woken up from a nap. So I'm sorry. This got pushed back a little bit later than it should have been, but welcome to Between the Lines. And also sorry that we're so late on this show. We're halfway through the season and we're starting off the new season of this show. So
basically, in a way, because I was thinking about, we should do this as like a trade deadline edition going because next week is the
I feel like that's a good thing, but also we should have just started this opening day. To be honest with you, we should have started this then. But better late than never. I mean, the season's not over yet. The trade deadline is coming up soon.
Actually, next week, if you think about it.
Yeah, and we got questions around the league. Who's going to get Shohei?
I mean, right now we've seen teams like Baltimore's kind of in the mix. We saw Arizona's kind of in the mix. We all knew about the Dodgers and the Mets, and we saw the Yankees actually are kind of throwing it in the mix as well. It's just like, like 4 or 5 other teams are really looking at for a guy like Shohei, because let's be real. Yeah. It's kind of hard because it's just
sorry, y'all. I had to get better lighting. It was too dark there. But yeah, you have Baltimore and Arizona in the running to get Shohei, which I think if Arizona really wants to be put over the top, they got to get Shohei. They got to. Same thing with the Orioles. If they want to get put over the top, they got to get Shohei. And I don't believe Philly fans. Oh, get Shohei. Do you know how much we have to give up to get Shohei?
You pretty much have to give up the farm, basically. That's basically
you have to give up the farm and one of our best players.
And just for a rental before he walks.
Yeah, for a half a season rental. What if the guy doesn't want to come back? You're screwed. And plus, that star player you lost, he ain't coming back.
I mean, shit. Shit happens. And speaking of Baltimore right now, they're currently sitting 2.5 games over the Tampa Bay Rays. Who would have fucking guessed? Not me.
Honestly, I would kind of, because of how well they did last season. I kind of expected them to progress even further than what they did last year. Because last year that was an amazing season. Even though they missed the playoffs, they had a winning record. It was like a half game, if I remember correctly. It was a half game. They were a half game out of a playoff spot. That last wild card spot in the AL they were in that last wild card. They were like right there at that doorstep to that last wild card spot.
And they just kind of for some reason just flattened out.
Yeah, the last few games they had lost some big games there at the end there, but they went 83-79 last year, and it was a really, really good season. Really, really good season for them. And I expected bigger things to come out of this season. And so it doesn't really come to me as a shock as they, improved to be over the Rays. The Rays kind of were like, they were kind of meh last year too. Even though they had won their division and all this other shit.
Actually, last year the Rays were a wild card winner.
Okay, they were a wild card winner. So
because remember, you looked at
still they were meh. Look, half of the teams I forgot where their placing was. All right, but
it's also the same year that the Yankees almost choked away first place in the American League East.
Oh yeah, the whole like 25 game losing streak, whatever the hell that was. And it was like, but back to the Orioles though. I like I said, the Rays were meh last year. I was saying, I was talking to you in private, like before the season started. I was telling you, the Rays have to be careful. The Rays have to be careful because if they don't, do anything like they did if they don't do better than they did last year and just settle for a wild card, they're going to lose first place to a team like the Orioles, who are a young team. They're hungry. They were hungry last year. They had just missed the playoffs, and now that they lost that playoff spot last year, they are hungry and pissed off at the same time. So
absolutely,
you don't want a team like that, and you're just playing meh.
No, you really don't. And if you look at the Orioles too, look at the teams over the years. Prior to last season, they were fucking god awful teams, and that's
they were. You had guys like Chris Davis going like 0 for 25.
Oh boy, yeah. Can we? That was a mistake giving him that contract, and they're still not.
Yeah, after that contract, he couldn't hit a bronze-sided goddamn barn.
Yeah, the only time he ever got a hit was against the freaking Boston Red Sox, who were actually was hot garbage.
Oh yeah. At that time, in that 0 for 25 season, his first hit was against a team that couldn't do shit, and that was the Red Sox at that time. And I want to talk about that. Since we're speaking of the Red Sox, I want to talk about that entire AL East.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What the hell are they on? Because every single team in that AL East is red hot. They got a winning record. Every single team in that East. Like it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
Right now, this is basically how the division stands. You have Baltimore in first, Tampa Bay second, Toronto third, Boston fourth, and the New York Yankees are right now technically it's a tie for fourth in the American League East between the Boston and the Yankees.
Let me tell you the records. I have it pulled up too. You have the Orioles at first place at 62-38. The Rays 61-42. The Blue Jays at 56-45. The Yankees at 53-47, and the Red Sox at 53-47. Every single team in the AL East has a winning record. Every team. That has never been. That's the thing. I don't think that's ever been seen in baseball ever.
Not really, because I mean, if you think about it, because I had expectations the Red Sox of being hot garbage this season.
I had expectations for that too. I was wrong too. I had low expectations for them because I'm like, all right, they got rid of crucial pieces.
And Chris Sale can't fucking stay healthy. You just traded Kiki Hernandez back to the Dodgers for a bag of peanuts.
Yeah, you have an aging pitcher in Chris Sale. Can't do shit now. All right, which apparently he's doing a lot. We thought he was not doing shit. He was doing a lot. He just can't stay healthy now.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, because his age is catching up to him. But you got rid of Kike Hernandez, which was, and I was also expecting for them to get rid of what's his face,
Verdugo.
Verdugo. I was half expecting them.
Been heavily talked about on the trading block, but they decided not to move him.
Yeah, because they didn't expect to be this hot, so they're like, all right, because they put him on the trade block the entire first half of the season because they were planning to try and rebuild again. That's why they got rid of Kike. That's why they got rid of all those players that they did. And it's kind but they did show signs of life, and I will say there was a sign of life was when they got Justin Turner.
It's like, because speaking of that too, when he first signed with the Red Sox, I was like, oh boy, this is not going to really be a good signing. Boy, I mean, do the numbers say otherwise? The dude, look, I know he's not what he once was, but if you use
the guy went on a double-digit hitting streak before the break.
Like, it doesn't.
I'm like, where'd that come from?
and this is the thing too that I think me and Tyler, or someone, I think I might have said it on the last episode we did, was that the Boston Red Sox, they're an up and down team. They have one good year, they got a down year, then they got a good year, then a down year. It's like there's no consistency.
It's like a roller coaster ride. They're up and then they're down. They're up and they're down. It's like that Katy Perry song. Yes, I'm putting over King. They're up and they're down. It's like that Katy Perry song. They're hot and they're cold.
It's like come on, man. Make
make a decision. Do you want to be a good team or a bad team? Do you want to be contenders or do you want to be pretenders? What do you want? And right now we were thinking, all right, but that's how it is. Look at last year.
They were god awful.
They were thanks, Mom. They were a bad team last year.
And you wrong.
You kind of had to expect a good year from them this year.
I mean, last year they went 78 and 84.
Exactly. They were a bad team last year. They were not good. They were terrible.
So last year, we pretty much had the Yankees at 99 and 63, and let's be real, complete playoff losers, like they always.
Oh my God, they choked in that first round.
First of all, it's like, no, I think it might have been the ALCS. They were asking for Houston.
The ALCS against the Astros. You had freaking Yankee players running into each other, dropping the ball.
It's like a fucking circus out there.
I was like, oh my God, it's like I'm watching the Bad News Bears right now. What the hell is this play? Like, you're running into each other. One guy gets hurt because he ran into the guy. Like, oh my God, bro.
And Todd, not just that, because I mean, if you watch that one clip that went around last year, where the entire fan base were desperate to have Houston. It's like, boy, you better be careful what you wish for. And look what happened.
Here's the thing, though. We were like that last year too. Let's be real.
That was
we were saying we want Houston going into the World Series. What happened? We got freaking beat the shit out of by Houston.
At least we didn't get swept. That's the positive.
Yeah, we got the 2 wins. It was a positive, but we went down in 6. I'm like, God damn, that's it.
I mean, look, it was
when they say we want Houston, Houston hasn't had enough firepower last year. If you're gonna talk smack, we'll smack you in your mouth. That's the thing.
And that's
they smack these teams in their mouth that were talking trash.
And that's the thing too. And this is what I've always impressed me about Houston, because I mean, you look at prior to 2016, you got to look at how bad those teams were.
Oh my God, 100 losses,
100 lost seasons,
three straight seasons. Yeah, man, it was brutal. And
I mean, think about it. You said Bo Porter as the manager, and finally, when you canned him, then you brought in AJ Hinch, and boy, did he do wonders for that team. And then you also had guys like Chris Carter. I think people really tend to forget he was still there. Altuve was still. I mean, the dude's a Houston lifer. Let's just call it for what it is. The dude's been there, boy, and he's been there as long as when the Astros were a National League team. Does anybody ever forget it? They used to be a National League team. Jeez, it feels like a forever ago that because we are now accustomed to see Houston in the American League, but it's kind of weird now looking back at it. They were a National League team. God, what's this?
Every time I watch a YouTube video on like the history of like a team, and they do the history of like, or they're talking about the last time the Astros in the World Series in 2005. I'm like, there has to be a typo. When the hell were they in the NL?
That's what it wasn't.
But it wasn't. They were in the NL before, and if they stayed in the NL, the Phillies wouldn't even have a chance. None of these NL teams would have even had a chance.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Well, they were in the National League. They'll be in the National League West, along with Arizona, San Diego, Colorado. Let's be real. I will say, I looked at some of the Rockies teams in the past. Yes, I know the last 4 or 5 years have been not kind to the Colorado Rockies.
Oh my God!
I would say the 07 Rockies.
No, the 07 Rockies were freaking.
That was a good team. Like, sometimes it makes you.
They started off bad, and then for some reason they pulled it out of their ass at the end.
That's just like you still got
that coined the phrase Rocktober. I'm like, no way, dude. Like you started off very poorly. Playoff implications by the All-Star break. You ain't going to playoffs. All right, just sell. They did nothing in that trade deadline, so they were expecting not to do anything. They pulled out of their ass. They win a division, and they start Rocktober.
Actually,
did they win the division that year?
2007 was the year of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
The Diamondbacks. Yeah, the Diamondbacks had that random ass winning season out of nowhere.
So this is how the NL West looked.
Even though every player was something like 240. Like what the hell?
This is basically what the National League West looked like in 2007. You had the Arizona Diamondbacks, 90 and 72. The Colorado Rockies, 90 and 73. San Diego Padres, 89 and 74. You have the Dodgers. Now it's kind of weird looking back at it. They were just barely 2 games above 500, 82 and 80. And then you got the San Francisco Giants.
But here's the thing, man. They had a losing record by the damn all. They had a pretty what's the word I'm looking for?
A surmountable.
They had a surmountable losing record. They were not good. And then they just pull a 90-win season out of their ass by the second half of the season.
And unfortunately, the one team that they ran into the 2007 Boston Red Sox.
Oh yeah. That was their second World Series run in a few years. Because they won in 2004. They went back in 2007 and won it again.
Obviously, I feel like the 2004 playoffs for Yankees fans are pretty much they gave them like Vietnam flashbacks. Like how the fuck? How the hell?
They had a 3-1 lead and they blew it.
How the fuck do you choke? Like
they were the Warriors before the Warriors existed.
See, that's my thing too. I remember the 2004 Yankees like it's nothing. You still had Jeter, Posada. I don't think Teixeira was there just yet. I think you still have Bernie Williams in the outfield.
Nah, Teixeira. I forgot where at that time Teixeira was still with the Braves. I think
with Texas. I think.
He got traded first to Texas in 2004. That's right.
So.
I thought, yeah. He was with Texas because Atlanta traded him to Texas, which was a huge ass mistake.
You want to hear what else was crazy too? The Angels actually won the division in 2007.
Seriously, it was like the most random ass season ever.
Like, Boston winning theirs at 96 and 66. Then you had New York at 94 and 68. Toronto 83 and 79. Baltimore Orioles 69 and 93. Very nice. And the Tampa Bay. This is before they were called the Rays. They were called the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. I remember it. But yeah, at 66 and. Boy.
Yeah, that was in the year before they got rid of the Devil Ray name.
Yeah, ever since.
Because then by 2008, they were the Rays.
Obviously. So at the time. Oh, actually, you know what? Do you know what's funny? Houston was actually in the the National League Central Division with the teams of Chicago, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. The AOS had 4 teams.
What team replaced them? That's what I want to know.
Houston actually left the Central Division and went to
the West.
The AL West.
Yeah. But what team replaced them, though? Or did they just not have a team?
Houston just left.
They just left. They didn't have a replacement. Okay.
So currently, today would as it stands today would be
Chicago. But when did they leave the NL for the AL? I forgot.
Was it I know there's
because they were in the NL for a while.
Yeah, for years.
For years, I remember 2011 they were still in the NL, which is weird as hell.
2013 is when they left.
Yeah, that was a big headline back in 2013 at the.
And that's been really the most talked about before they even made that move.
Yeah. They were really, really talking about it, and it was a rumor for a couple of years, and then the rumor was true. They were moving to the AL.
Actually, I think for a lot of people don't remember because I know that MLB's been around since the 1860s, but since 1998, the National League had 16 teams while the American League had 14. So
they had to realign to make it match up.
To balance it out. So 15 and 15.
Yeah. Which makes sense. It makes total sense why they had left and moved. But man, I'm glad they did because the NL would have been top heavy, to be honest.
Yeah, you
would have been crazy top heavy. But back to current day baseball.
It's like it's kind of makes you wonder like how much stuff has changed since then, coming up to this to present day. Like what has changed? Obviously,
a lot's changed, man. A lot's changed. The shift doesn't exist anymore. There's a pitch clock now. There's that stupid designated runner on second in the extra innings.
I don't want to get really much.
Freaking hate that shit. But yeah, there's a lot of rule changes that happened recently. So
it's not just that. I've seen some stadiums actually got some changes. Like Minute Maid Park. Who remembers when Talus Hill was still a thing? And remember some funny moments where just people were just running up the hill to catch a fly ball. So it's like, I'm sorry, it was like the weirdest oddity.
Dude, you see people like slipping and falling on their hands and knees trying to get a ball.
Like literally, like the Talus Hill for me was one of my most favorite oddities of any MLB ballpark. It's like, because you still got your normal baseball field, but you got a stuck a hill right in the middle dead center field. It's like,
and you have fans there slipping, which makes it hilarious.
Yeah, it's just like, it's also kind of crazy too. Like, I mean, look, even people say, "Oh, cheating is like." I think sometimes people tend to forget. As soon as this game was, became popular, say after the 1860s, cheating was like a normal occurrence. I mean, think about it. You had the 1919 White Sox that threw the World Series to the Cincinnati Reds.
We cheated one time by putting cables under the damn stadium or the ballpark for like and had like a buzzer on the shit.
I do not remember that.
That was way back in like the 1920s, so it really doesn't matter anymore. So we cheated then.
I think a lot of teams had some dark moments.
Every team has its dark moment. Like the Yankees, their dark moment was steroid thing with A-Rod. That was their dark moment. And which wasn't really a dark moment because he still dominated without steroids.
And not just from the Yankees, from that, they also had some of their sad moments when Lou Gehrig, retired very young and died at 35. It's like
35, died a few years later after that, and then you had the sad moment with the Angels when they lost Tyler Skaggs.
Oh yeah, and that really pissed everybody off. That really.
Yeah, and then the Marlins with the
Jose,
that pitcher.
Shit.
Jose when they lost Jose, man.
Dude, I will have to admit, as a general, not just from a diehard Phillies fan, but as a general baseball fan, that fucking hurt. That hurt.
Dude, that hurt. Dude, that broke my heart too, because that guy, that man had a bright future. That's what hurt me. The dude had a bright future. He was a good pitcher. He was in his 20s, man. He was a young guy.
It was kind of like just watching it, boy, and think of this too. Look at that Marlins team they still had. Stanton was still there. You still had Yelich. I think JT was still there before.
Yeah, JT was still there. Yelich was still there. Giancarlo was still there.
You still had Yelich back then as well. Before they moved on from him, it's just like this game itself. Sometimes it does have a black eye. Has its dark history with some teams. Like
and then dark history hit us. No, I mean it's not. He wasn't an active player anymore, but it still hit us. And that was Roy Halladay.
Oh boy,
when he died, that was a blemish to our team. But he wasn't even playing, so it was like.
Yeah,
it didn't hit as hard as Jose because he wasn't playing anymore, but it still hit. It still hit
because Halladay has given us some really nice moments in the Phillies uniform. I mean, 2010, through the perfect game against the Marlins, and he also had.
He did that shit. No, dude, he did that shit twice.
Actually, there was no hitter in 2011 against the Cincinnati Reds, and that was a really good Cincinnati Reds team.
Twice. Yeah. Yeah, that's when Joey Votto was in his prime and shit.
Yeah.
But back to current day though. Let's talk about the well, I know we're dreading talking about this. Let's talk about the NL wild card.
Speaking of the wild card, nope, that's not what I meant to do. All right, give me 1 second. So look at the wild card right now. As it stands, obviously we are still a half game back out of the wild card. Ooh, sorry.
What was that? A random ass burp?
I had a burp coming on. I did not mean to do that. So as it stands, in terms for the National League, I got right now it currently stands with Cincinnati right now with the best record of the wild card at 55-47. Who? That's another thing. I do want to talk about.
Who would have thought that? Who the hell would have thought that? Because
my bingo card.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with that, right? Before we go with the rest of this wild card standing, I want to talk about the Reds for a minute. I want to talk about these Reds, man. I expected, the same as last year, not doing that good and being like, and they started off, and they did start off not that great.
I was like, boy, if you try to put the try. Okay, so I know we're not going to try to compare it to video games, but you know how hard how hard it is to try to do that in MLB The Show and start out as hot garbage as the Cincinnati Reds did last year. That shit's fucking probably impossible as shit. But
bro, here's the thing. When MLB The Show, I go like, I struggle to even stay at 500 half the time on MLB The Show. That's my problem. It's hard to get a winning record in that, and that's a video game. Imagine it being the real life game itself, and you have a real bat in your hand, and you're trying to hit a 90, 95 to 100 mile an hour fastball,
which is not current day. And people say, "Oh, like this shit's easy." Yeah, trust me, from my personal experience, hitting baseball is fucking hard as shit.
Why can't you hit? Like, yeah, the location and stuff they should know, but why can't you hit that fastball right down the middle with a cookie? That was 95. Of 200 on the gun, dude. It's hard to time that. But but back to the Reds. They started off pretty bad, right?
Terrible. It makes you want to comment,
dude. I'm thinking, yep, there it is, right there. And then they started winning out of nowhere.
That's like
I think it was like late May, early June. They were like,
they had that very long hot stretch.
It was in May. It was in May. They had a really bad April,
and then they just started up.
I'm gonna look up their whole season right now, right? Because I'm not sure how it completely went. So I'm looking up their games.
Ooh.
Here. I can't. Wait. Reds. Oh my gosh. I can't even do it, dude.
But I do have the wild.
Hold on. No, all right. You can speak. Sorry.
But I do have the wild card standings from last year. Right now, and this boy, talk. Ooh.
I've got. So they started off. They started off splitting with us. So they were 2-2. Or actually, they were 3-2 against us in that series. Or no, wait. So they were 1, 2. So they were 0-1, 0-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3, 4-4. And then the game obviously got postponed that one day because of the air quality thing. Against us, and then they just completely, and then they won against the Pirates. So they started off pretty decently, and then they fell off a bit against the Cubs. They won one game against the Cubs, so they split with the Cubs. Swept by the Braves. So they started off pretty, all right. All right, they started off all right, and then they started losing. Against the Pirates, they lost against the Pirates in that 4-game set. Then they won against the Rangers, won against the Athletics, and they just it was like they started off like kind of meh, and you kind of expected, okay, when's the drop off going to happen? When is the drop off going to happen? And then next thing you know, and I'm thinking, all right, at least they'll probably be a wild card team at the very least. And it's come to fruition to be like that. It's come to fruition. But at one point, though, they were winning so much late April into or like in May and June. They were just winning so much. At one point, they were winning. They were in first in their division at one point.
Yeah, and that's
they had a pretty decent sized lead, in first before they kind of fell off a bit. But no one expected it. No one expected them to even be that competent.
No, even though we said it a lot. Even I've said it myself. It's like, for a team that's a small market team, like I said, I think the fans really deserve a lot more than what that owners give. And Bob Castellini, from my understanding, and teams like the Cincinnati Rays are too fucking cheap to actually spend any money to actually get better. And we talked about Tampa.
But here's the thing, man. He's actually doing something well for once in his damn life, and that is the farm system.
Yeah, that is true. I mean,
he doesn't necessarily have to spend money. That's the thing. But eventually, you're going to have to spend on a big free agent. Your team's good, but you got to spend on a big. Oh my God, my throat got dry.
Boy.
You're gonna have to spend on a big free agent. You're going to.
So technically, if you look,
because you got to think though, Votto's not going to be there for much longer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to find a replacement in terms of first base.
You got to get a star player there, or you got to develop a guy there. And I will say this. They've been able to develop pretty well.
And there's
also De La Cruz there, man. He's shocked the damn world.
That kid's something's gonna be special. And that's another thing too, which I've actually surprised I have not really talked about, but I actually want to make this. I feel like when they called up De La Cruz, I kind of thought this in the back of my head. So it looks like Jonathan India might be the odd man out of Cincinnati. And we've seen some now reports that the Cincinnati Reds are open to trading Jonathan India. You're 2022.
I feel like the reason why that they're going to get rid of Jonathan India, he hasn't really necessarily had the best month.
I mean, he's an average player.
Batting under like 200 for the month, and he's hovering about like 270 this month alone. So I would think get rid of him. A nice change of scenery will help him. All right, I got to perform here, or I'm going to get traded again.
And that's the thing too. And Cincinnati wants to try to go for a cost-controlled type of pitcher at the deadline, which, as good as that sounds, but sometimes in the end, look, if you get like a player that you can control, like say a year, about 2.5 years at least, you should be fine until once that's up. I mean, we see teams where, sometimes that works in a lot of teams' favors. I mean, look at the Phillies right now; they're kind of tied to a couple guys. In the trade deadline market, like a Ryan Helsley from St. Louis. And for the love of God, I think we broke the St. Louis Cardinals. I think that I do believe we do. The Phillies broke the St. Louis Cardinals for whatever reason.
I kind of, it's almost to the point where I kind of feel bad for that. We broke the Cardinals because they haven't been able to recover after that wild card loss to us last year when we swept them in 2 games. Which we didn't expect it. We didn't even expect that entire run to happen. But we broke them. They're like way in the basement. The record's way back. terrible.
Actually, that's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's right now is currently in the basement, and that's another thing.
What the hell happened to Pittsburgh?
Like that's what I'm wondering. Like it makes you wonder. Like,
dude, like, Pittsburgh was like they had like this hot start, then they fell off a bit. I'm thinking, all right, they fell off a bit. They'll probably be probably hovering around 500. I don't see them, falling off the cliff like that. But they've fallen off. Apparently, they've fallen off the cliff. I haven't really kept up with the Pirates, but.
So this is basically how the NL Central is kind of standing out. You have Milwaukee right now in first place at 56-45. Cincinnati is a game and a half out of first place at 55-47, like we mentioned before. Chicago.
I expect Cincinnati to take that division over because
that would be
I still think the that Brewers team, man, meh.
Like they're. And that's the thing too with Milwaukee. Like you don't know which teams you're going to get. It depends because they're pitching heavy first, and their offense stinks. I mean, if you think about it,
yeah, you have a guy like you have what Christian Yelich not playing well there.
Well, and as a team, when I'm looking at the numbers right now as a team they scored 417 times, but they gave up 422. For a run differential of -5, and they're 50 and 51.
They're a meh team. They're not that great. I really think the Reds are going to catch up. It's going to catch up to the
right now.
The Brewers.
The only team that has a better run differential than anybody else that is Chicago. That's the Cubs. Now, granted, yes, I know
the Cubs. They have a good offense, but the problem is defensively they shoot themselves in the foot. That's the problem with them. But they shoot themselves in the foot, and also pitching isn't that great.
I mean, look at the pitching side of things. They have given up the least amount of, outside of, they're the second team. They have the second least amount of runs in that division alone.
Which shocks me because they've lost a lot of games to either shoddy pitching, giving up home runs, or bad defensive play.
I mean, they won. So as it currently stands, they're right now on a 3-game winning streak. And they're 3 games out of 500, under 500.
So they must have. I must have missed something because
Well, then again, that's why
or I haven't watched enough baseball to actually
to pay attention.
Figure this shit out. I can't pay attention. I'm gonna look at the MLB app, bro. I can't pay attention, but. That's the thing. Like now they're winning. But I mean, but you got to tell. But I've known enough to where I know the Brewers are gonna stay in first place.
Well, I mean, they did take 3 or 4 out of St. Louis. Right now they have a 2-game set against the White Sox.
But here's the thing. It's St. Louis. And then they play the armpit of Chicago.
That is the White Sox. Funny enough, and that's why I've always said that the both AL and the NL Central are just wide open divisions. Cleveland, boy, how do I even describe them? They're good.
Cleveland, they underperformed. They've underperformed
for a team that actually won the division last year. And again,
I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened to that team. I really don't know.
So you ain't wrong.
That's a big mystery to me.
So
it's just what the hell happened, man.
So currently you have Minnesota at 54-48, Cleveland at 49-51, Detroit at 46-54. Man, if you look at, and that's the thing too with Detroit. I mean, look at the teams that they had back then. You had like the 06 team, which was fucking stacked.
Bro, I know the 06
team. How the fuck do you not win a World Series with that type of fucking roster? Like, that
bro, you had the 06 team, you had the 2012 team.
Oh, that 2012 team was fucking great as well, Lee.
Bro, you had Miggy, prime Miggy, bro. You had Verlander, Prince Fielder before he broke his neck and ended his career.
I mean, so hey,
yeah, you had all these great players. You had who else?
This is what the 2012 Detroit Tigers were talking about.
This is 2012, and they were like red hot in 2012. It was like what the hell happened? Then you have Javi Baez swinging at outside pitches for no reason.
So, in terms of so this is basically what this team was in 2012. They went 88-74. And guess who their GM was at the time?
It was Dombrowski.
Dave Dombrowski.
It was Dombrowski, yeah.
So, okay. So this is what the roster was looking like. Catcher, you have Alex Avila, no longer there, probably retired. Prince Fielder retired, unfortunately with the neck injury. Omar Infante, Johnny Peralta. God, Johnny Peralta, I forgot about him.
Yeah, he retired too.
Miguel Cabrera, first ballot Hall of Famer at the end of the day. Andy Dirks, don't know who the fuck that was. Austin Jackson. I remember when I think it might have been Austin Jackson. I think. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, Austin Jackson went flipped over that short wall in Fenway Park against the Boston Reds. I completely forgot about that.
He went whoop right over.
2013. Yeah,
2013.
Yeah, Brandon Bosch, Delman Young. Boy, that guy's. Yeah, I know that name sounds familiar. If you're a Phillies or Orioles fan for most of the time.
He sucked for us, man.
So yeah, it's like Quentin Berry, Ramon Santiago, Ryan Rayburn. Ryan Rayburn wasn't too bad from what I remember. Gerald Laird was a backup catcher. Don Kelly, Danny Worth, Evasayo Garcia, who has actually turned out pretty decently since then. Jeff Baker, Brandon Hinch I think he was a still underrated player at the time. Brian Holiday, Brad Eldridge, Matt Young, Omer Santos, Hernan Perez. It's really turned out pretty well. So, boy, talk about some of the pitching. Yeah, Prime versus Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Rick Porcello, Doug Fister, Drew Smyly was also part of that Tigers team.
Yeah, Drew Smyly at one point was good. He was good, and he's also pretty good for the Cubs this year. He finally found his footing there with Chicago, which I'm happy about. He didn't really find his footing. He didn't really find his footing in Philly. He didn't really fit in Philly, but he fit with the Cubs, and I'm happy he's having a resurgence of a career there.
So this is basically this is the 2012 starting rotation. You have Verlander, Scherzer, Porcello, Fister, Drew Smyly, and Anibal Sanchez at the time.
Yo, Anibal Sanchez? Yo, he was a beast, dude.
Even though, now I will say the numbers outside, in Justin Verlander in 2012 went 17-9 with a 2.64 ERA. Striking out 239 batters to walking only 60. Good fucking God, that is just disgusting.
And to think now, he has an ERA over 5, and the Mets are getting rid of him.
Well, when I saw him when they signed up for that kind of contract, I say, yeah, this is not going to end well. And boy,
I'm like, and the way he played in the playoffs, I'm like, he's kind of starting to regress. He's starting to regress because he had that bad start against us that one time. I'm like, all right, he had a good start after that, but I'm thinking, if the Astros are willing to get rid of him after a really good World Series run,
that's the thing too. That's why
something's up.
Because they already have his replacement in hand, and that's why a lot of times.
Plus, if they already had his replacement. All I know, dude. I was like, if they signed his replacement and they were going to get rid of him, something has to have been up. They must have saw the writing on the wall. And he goes to New York and he has a 5 ERA.
And it has not been for me. I think it's just number one. I think they really overpaid for a guy that's well past his prime. Not really what he once was. I guess you could say from 06 to 2012. I think if you look at the 06 to 2012, I think Verlander had a really good span in that time frame.
I feel like I think it's from 06 to possibly last year. He had a really good season last year.
Yeah, it's really good season overall.
He just started to show his age in the playoffs, and then the.
Scherzer.
Well, he showed his age in that one game in the World Series, but that was about it. No one, not even we thought he was going to post a 5 this year. But again,
so
again, when you give a guy that kind of contract, he's going to want to earn it, by trying too hard, and he tried too hard this year, and he's got a 5 ERA. He's got a 5, and a lot of that is his age. His age is starting to catch up.
He's already in his early 40s, so that should tell you something. But like I said, look.
Hey, your team. Hey, Mike, your team's doing pretty good this year. Oh yeah.
The fact that they overcome, that deficit in the NL West over the Arizona Diamondbacks, who, let's be real. I think. But before we talk about the Diamondbacks, I want to let you go over some numbers from this 2012 pitching staff. Like I said, Justin Verlander 17-8 with a 2.64 ERA, striking out 239 batters to his walking 60. Scherzer, not too shabby, 16-7 with a 3.74 ERA in 32 games started, 231 strikeouts to 60 walks. So almost identical numbers to his counterpart in Justin Verlander. And Scherzer, boy, he's kind of, you can see now his age is starting to catch up to him. Fine. They're paying him I don't know exactly what they're paying him. Rick Porcello, how do I say this? Very unorthodox Cy Young winner, in my honest opinion. It just,
he was kind of like,
the numbers didn't really show it for me as a Cy Young candidate. It's like, who in the,
he was pretty good though. He was pretty good that year, but I don't know. I really don't know who would you put that year for Cy Young, but can't rewrite history, man. Can't rewrite it.
Yeah, that is true. He's been before. He actually did retire after the pandemic era, which, let's be real, no one wants to really talk about that. But
let's not talk about pandemics. I'm sick of pandemics.
But overall, career-wise, 150 wins, 225 losses, a 4.40 career ERA, and 355 games, 351 of those were starts. Not too shabby. 2,096 in the third innings pitch, 1,500.
Yeah, that's decent. Yeah, that's decent. But let's talk about those. Arizona Diamondbacks for a second.
Diamondbacks. I think just kind of collapsed a little bit in that NL West division.
A little bit, but I really don't think that they're a bad team this year. I feel
not by.
I feel like they'll be one of those wildcard teams for sure. They'll definitely be one of those teams.
Oh, absolutely. And
because they have a young hungry roster. The pitching staff's a bit better. They got it, but here's the thing: they got to get rid of Baumgartner. They got to get rid of him.
Baumgartner's already gone. He's been long gone.
Oh, he's already gone.
They did. He did before. What? Not even quarter way through during the first half of the season.
Oh, good. So they got that monkey off their back. They got a good pitching staff finally because they have a good pitching staff there. Kind of good because they're winning. They're winning games.
It's just
they're holding off teams from winning. They're a good team. So pitching is a big key of that. Hitting is a big key of that. But they got a young hungry roster, man. They got a hungry.
One guy that I'm still a huge fan of. Shout out to South Jersey native and Zach Gallen, actually killed it in the major leagues.
Zach Gallen, dude. Zach Gallen is on the next level.
And shout out to Bishop Eustace, another South Jersey kid killing it in the major leagues, outside of Mike Trout, anyways.
But dude, Zach Gallen is like dominating for that team, man. Dominating. But yeah. Now you have the Dodgers. They caught up to them. They're 4 games up in that division, and you gotta. And I don't. And nobody really expected the Diamondbacks to win that division. We expected the Dodgers to do that. So it's coming into fruition how we expected it to be. But no one really expected the Diamondbacks to even be that good. They're another shocker team. The two shocker teams are the Reds and the Diamondbacks.
So right now, Gallen stands as the ace right now. Right now, 11-4 with a 3.18 ERA, 21 games started, 130 and a third innings pitched, 135 strikeouts to only 26 walks. That's just for the season alone from Zach Gallen.
He's fucking filthy. He's fucking filthy with his pitches, bro. But let me tell you something. He's their ace. He is their ace.
Oh, easy. I mean, the numbers.
Easy. Numbers don't lie. He is their ace.
Right now, Merrill Kelly has been very solid as well. I mean, even though sucks that he's right now on the 15-day IL. Currently, as he stands on the IL, with a 9-4 and 16 games started, with a 3.22 ERA, with 58 strikeouts that's 98 strikeouts to 37 walks. So he's another kind of guy that's can give you 100 plus strikeouts this season.
He's that solid number. He's that solid number 2 guy. It's Gallen and Kelly. And then the rest of that.
Currently, right now, they have him as number 3 behind Ryan Nelson, who.
Why? Put Kelly at 2.
I guess the fact that when he got hurt, they had to bump Nelson up to 2. And then they had to bring up another guy, to help with the rotation. And now it's Zach Davies, who's been, oh, Jesus. He has to have with overall 30 years old, 1-5 with the 7.38 ERA in 12 games started.
Yeah, that right there. Yeah, they have solid pitching, but that guy. Whew.
Tommy Henry, he's been okay. 5-3 with a 4.01 ERA and
that's fine. That's fine. That's good numbers for a back end starter. That's good numbers.
And unfortunately, I mean, their best prospect right now that I've actually liked, Trey Jameson, unfortunately, he got survived a season-ending injury on right now placed on a 60-day IL with a 3-1 record with a 3.32 ERA and 3 games started with 37 strikeouts to 18 walks. I know that's kind of a short sample size, but they pretty much use him as a bullpen piece. Even though I was kind of guy when I kind of looked at him, so he's got the stuff to be a starter. It's just, and that's the one thing too that I've always kind of was I'm saying like totally concerned, but something that needs to watch out. Like outside of Gallen and Kelly, I mean Tommy Henry has not been terrible, but the numbers could be a little bit better.
It could be a bit better, but he's a solid back half. He's a solid back half guy. Yeah, he's a solid back half guy.
And it's just
and
I know
now that one guy who has a 7, the one guy that has a 7 though.
Well, not just that. You also have Brandon Pfaadt, who also they brought up as well. 24-year-old with an 0-4 record and 7 starts with an 8.81 ERA. So yeah, it's those first. Yeah, they have solid pitching, but the problem is injuries, and they're calling up guys injuries happen, and they're calling up guys that shouldn't even be called up at all. This season. They need some seasoning down in the minors still, which that's been the reason why they collapsed. They had that good lead in that division for a little bit, and then they just collapsed. They fell off. For a team that, let's be real, has not won it all since 2001. Shockingly.
Yeah, that was the last time they won. The last time they won was 2001 against the Yankees.
You still had Craig Counsell still in his prime years. I mean, you still had Luis Gonzalez. You just had a lot of guys.
The dude who came freaking clutch for that World Series, bro.
Who the fuck? What the fuck was his name?
It was Gonzalez. He had that game-winning hit or some shit. He came in clutch, bro. But yeah, they haven't won since 2001. They had that one. They were like kind of meh in the 2000s for a while, and they had that random division-winning season in 2007.
So this is basically how the 2001. Because obviously we know that the Anaheim Angels won in 2002, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of when you think about it, it's like the Angels actually won a World Series. Not because you really think about it.
But here's the thing. You're forgetting though. The Angels in the 2000s were good. They just were never good. They were just never good past 2012. That was the thing. In the 2010s, they were bad, minus that 2012 season. Or no, that 2013 season, mind you.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they were just a bad team in the 2010s. In the 2000s, they were not that bad of a team. To be fair.
Which, and also the 2001 MLB season had also some actually interesting moments as well. You had the Seattle Mariners, who had right now holds the record for the best record in baseball. For whatever reason, could not get over the fucking hump as 100+ win team, and yet you completely faltered.
You choked. And then you had that Mike Piazza homer after 9/11 happened.
Oh boy, that
was a poetic freaking moment, bro. Poetic.
Yeah, it's like, and this we said Shea Stadium was still up before Citi Field was a thing.
Yep.
And speaking of that, look at the 2001 in terms of the standings. You had we're going to go division by division, both the American League and the East nationally. So the American League East, you have the Yankees. Honestly, are we not surprised? 95-65. You have Boston at 82-79, Toronto at 80-82, Baltimore at 63-98, Tampa Bay Devil Rays 62-100. Good fucking lord. But then again, they were just I guess you could say they were the first. I think one of the expansion teams as well. Cleveland. Honestly,
I'll tell you when the Rays were established as a team.
I would say 95.
Hold on, I'm looking this up. Down. I have to go to Wikipedia right now. I'll tell you. Oh my god, I don't care about paying for whatever the hell it was. They were established in 98.
98? Damn, I was off.
But they were established in 98, so they were still a fairly young team in 01. But the problem was they've been in expansion since 98. They should have had a winning record by 01.
Yeah, they didn't really pop off as a wild card team in 2008. And okay, so moving on from that, going to the Central Division, Cleveland actually had a really good team in 2001, from when I remember correctly.
Yeah, Cleveland was all right.
71. Minnesota was in second at 85-77. Chicago, very surprising at 83-79 in 2001. And Detroit, 30 games under 500, not great at 66-96. And then Kansas City Royals, once again, you see, then again, it's no familiar territory that they're basement dwellers in 2001 at 65-97. Now, the AL West, this division was very interesting when I first looked at this. You have Seattle at 116-46. The Oakland Athletics, 102-60. Who the fuck? It's like...
Remember.
Moneyball. I remember Moneyball.
Yeah. That was when Billy Bean had that freaking analytic shit and that somehow worked.
It's like you had the Anaheim Angels at 75-87, and mind you, ladies and gentlemen, this is before Houston joined the fray, and you had the Texas Rangers at 73-89. The NL East, we have the Atlanta Braves at 88-74, the Philadelphia Phillies 86-76. We were just 2 games out of first place in that division. The New York Mets 82-80. The Florida Marlins, before they rebranded to the Miami Marlins, at 76-86. And before the Washington Nationals, the Montreal Expos 68-94. So basically, it's kind of crazy. God, I just want the Expos. I thought the Expos had some really nice looking uniforms back. Then again,
they did. They had really good uniforms, but the problem was they had money issues and they had to move to Washington.
And so the NL Central, Houston Astros, 93-69, very nice. St. Louis Cardinals, so we had a tie for first with Houston and St. Louis at 93-69, very nice. Chicago, 88-74. Milwaukee, 68-94. Cincinnati, 66-96. Pittsburgh Pirates 62 and 100 in 2001. Obviously, in the NL West, you had the Diamondbacks 92 and 70. Same with the Giants at 92, 90, or actually, not. I'm sorry, 90 and 72. I completely had a dyslexic moment there, so don't. You had the Dodgers at 86 and 76. The Padres 79 and 83. And unfortunately, the Colorado Rockies are the no familiar territory as the basement dwellers in 2001. And it's kind of crazy, and yes, not just from the sports perspective, in terms of baseball, 2001, boy, that really the world. We could all admit the world had changed. We thought 2020 changed. The world was a world changing. Yeah, 2001, I would say was definitely a world changing for a lot of stuff back then, and before when the internet was still in its infancy. Yeah.
Internet was just like confined to computers, and internet was slow and shitty back then, compared to now where it's fast and efficient. But dude, that was like a really like historic season compared knowing what had happened late that season. Very, very historic. A lot of them remember what happened after. So, and that was the first season that they had to move the World Series into November.
Yeah, I forgot about that
because of what had happened in September.
So looking at the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks, you had Damian Miller for their starting catcher. Mark Race at first base, Jay Bell at second base, Tony Womack. I completely forgot about Tony Womack as their shortstop. Matt Williams, actually solid player, even decent at 35. As their third baseman, Luis Gonzalez, like we mentioned, left fielder. Center field, Steve Finley. Reggie Sanders was the right fielder. And they also still had Randy Johnson, the big unit. Boy, you do not want to face him.
Was that the season where he killed the bird?
I would think so. God,
I think that was the season where he killed the bird.
So in terms of their pitching, anyways, you still had Kurt Schilling. This is when he was in 2001. He was entering his age 34 season. Actually, surprisingly, not too shabby. A 22-6 record and 35 games started with 6 complete games, 1 shutout, with a 2.98 ERA, striking out 293 batters to walking 30. Obviously, they had Randy Johnson as the number 2 in that rotation at 21-6 and 34 games started. With a 2.49 ERA, 372 strikeouts to 71 walks. Let me tell you, if you have not watched Randy Johnson from 2001, and then probably there's going to be some older ones remember his early years with Seattle, and he was actually not really great with Seattle from what I've seen some of the highlights. The dude got knocked down around a lot. But as soon as he went to
he was bad for Seattle for the first few seasons, and he started to get good.
Obviously,
he started to come around late in that Seattle run.
Actually, and then he got moved. The first team he was drafted by was Montreal in 1988.
Yeah, and then he played up into the 2000s.
So in 1990, with his time in Seattle, went 14-11 and 33 games started with an ERA. Oh shit, where is it? An ERA at 3.65 with a Jesus. Yeah, 194 walks to 194 strikeouts to 120 walks. At that time, was leading. That was leading baseball at the time in 1990, but also had an all-star to show for it. Boy, he has done a. I mean, shit. The dude was a Hall of Famer in 2015, 5-time Cy Young Award winner, 10-time All-Star, World Series MVP, 4-time ERA title holder, 2001 World Series champion. Also has a pitching triple crown to show along for that. Standing at 6'10", 225 pounds. Holy fuck!
Do you know what he does now?
He's an NFL photographer.
He's a goddamn photographer.
Hey, props to him. Finding a different career path since then. Not too bad though in terms of his career numbers. A 10.1, a 101.1 WAR. 303 wins, 266 losses, a 3.29 career ERA, 603 games started, and 618 games played, with only actually surprising two career saves, and 4,135 and a third innings pitched, 4,875 strikeouts to a WHIP of 1.171. Boy, even though he can get hit, but the dude was just fucking filthy. And it's like, and that's another thing too. Like, I've actually done. There was another guy that I talked about. I think I did like a project in college about was the debate between lefty Steve Carlton and Nolan Ryan, who, for the love of God, the fact that this dude has not won a Cy Young during his playing days, it's like it makes you wonder. Like, it makes you question. Like, as good as Nolan Ryan was during his time, how the hell did he not want a Cy Young?
Bro. This guy pitched a dominant start with a bloody freaking face.
Oh yeah, and for those
like, how the hell do you not give him a Cy Young?
so this is basically his career numbers: an 81.3 WAR, 324 wins to 292 losses, a 3.19 career ERA, and 807 games played, 773 are starts, with 3 career saves and 5,386 innings pitched, 5,714 strikeouts to a WHIP at 1.247. Obviously, a Hall of Famer, 8-time All-Star, has won a World Series in 1969. Very nice, and a 2-time ERA title holder. I think a lot of times people didn't really know. Boy, in terms of strikeouts, boy, he has led the league in strikeouts in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different times during his career. I mean, think about it. 1972, and this before everyone remembers the Anaheim Angels, they were known as the California Angels. Overall, went 19-16. Good Lord. With a 2.28 ERA and 39 games started with 9 shutout. Jesus. 20. Oh boy, that's just fucking unfair. 20 complete games, 9 of them were shutouts, and 284 innings pitched, has scattered 166 hits, has given up 80 runs, 72 of those were earned, gave up 14 homers, walked 157, and yes, that led baseball in 1972, while striking out 329 batters.
Christ.
And that was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's when he was entering his 6th year in the major leagues, and that also produced a All-Star appearance, was 8th in Cy Young, and 30th in the MVP voting. He's finished. Looking at his baseball reference, I had for those who actually want to look at some stuff like that. Baseball reference is a really nice place to go. He's finished in the top 10 in the Cy Young twice, and is finished in the top 5 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different times, and is finished in the top 30 in terms of the MVP voting. And the dude, like I said before, 714 strikeouts with a career ERA of 3.19. Instead, not produce a Cy Young throughout that entire season or his entire career. You know, it's just like, it makes you wonder, for a guy that was throwing over 100 miles an hour at the time, because before Raider Guns was actually a thing. And you also had obviously he also had the devastating breaking ball, but most of the time people really know, and that's where the express comes from. The expression, or the call for a really hard fastball is the express. Obviously, Nolan Ryan was known as the Nolan Express during his time with the Texas Rangers, and I think a lot of times people really tend to forget. You know, yes, I know this before me, and Tyler's. But this is during my grandparents' time on their time on this planet. But Nolan Ryan, for what he, they never really saw a guy like Nolan Ryan ever in the 1960s and the 1970s. And the fact he played up to 1993, and he's another guy that was a bit of a longevity. Yes, I know, probably as over time, and this also, you got to think too, the 1960s, from like 1960s to the 1970s in Major League Baseball, there was no pitch limit. Like, if you had to pitch a doubleheader, shit, you see guys were throwing their arms out. It's like, boy, it makes you wonder, like, their arms would be fucking sore as shit at the time. And
I remember one time where Pedro Martinez got pissed off because he had over 100 pitches and the manager was taking him out. He goes, "No, I can still go. I can still go."
Hey, prime Pedro Martinez was just fucking nasty.
Yeah, but let's get back to current day. We kind of beat off the random path here. We kind of went off the random path. Let's go to the next team in that wild card division.
I mean, you also have the San Francisco Giants, which means Tara said before, they actually had that one fluky year where they won over 100 games. It's like, it's like, have you really won 100 games? Because for me, the last couple of years, they've really shown they are not a 100-win team. They just
look who their manager is. Mm-hmm. I expect to drop off. He ain't all that as a manager. I'm telling you that right now. He ain't all that.
Yeah. I mean,
he ain't all that in the bag of chips. I'm telling you that much. But the Giants, they have a young team, kind of still. So I do expect a bright future, but get rid of Gabe Kapler.
They know they wouldn't.
He ain't the guy. He wasn't the guy in Philly. He ain't gonna be the guy here. Sure, he gave you the 100-win season. He didn't give you shit. All right. He inherited a really good team. All right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a problem. He was inherited a good team. With this team, he can't coach for shit.
I mean, think about it. He also inherited guys that were still the part of that World Series team with Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Buster Posey before he called it quits.
You had all these guys. Still. You also had great pitchers too, and then they started dropping off. I wonder why.
It's not just that. I mean, they lost guys like Kevin Gausman, Carlos Rodon in free agency, and guys like that. I mean, who actually were very solid guys in that rotation in those years. And you can see the pitching staff has not been terrible, but it has not been great. But it's like, I guess you say like the middle of the type of road, what you expect for a team like.
Yeah, they're kind of meh. And the thing is, that's the product Gabe Kapler is going to give you. Kind of meh. They're not going to be a bad team, but they're not going to beat the greatest team ever where they're going to make the playoffs.
It's not. And, it's like to the general baseball fan, look, the Giants are not going to be what they once were. Like, you saw like in 2012, 2014. I guess you're supposed to be part of the 2016.
No, they're not the same team as they were when they won over 100 games.
Yeah, that is true.
Let's not go beat off the
beaten path
history path again. But that's the thing. They're not the same team as they once were before. And you got to think though. Why are they playing kind of meh? Look at their coach.
It's not just that. I mean, look what they're putting on the field too. You have Lamont Lee.
Look at the product they're putting on the field.
And
that is an issue. And I think they'll drop off. I really do. I think they'll drop off.
I mean, currently as it stands, they're right now. There's a 3-way tie in the wild. So right now, yes, I know there's 4 teams, but 3 of them are in a tie for a wild card spot. With Arizona at 54 and 47, Miami at 54 and 47. I think they're going to drop off because I don't think Miami is legit just yet. Do I think they have a potential to be another competitor in the NL East? Absolutely. It's just the thing with Miami, like they got the pitching, but what the hell? Like it is like. Actually, that's another thing I want to address. We see some guys that just took a huge step backwards. Sandy Alcantara, unanimous Cy Young winner last year. What the hell is he? Look at his numbers.
He's getting hit around. He's getting hit around constantly now.
It's like
we even hit around him that one time. But I mean, that's the thing. We pretty much ended this man like in like 5 innings.
But not just that. What I've also noticed, like he kind of sometimes tips his pitches a little bit. I've kind of noticed in some
He
starts
does.
where
He definitely does. He definitely does.
They know that his changeup's coming. That's just his.
Yeah,
That's
they know
his
it's
out
coming.
pitch.
Yeah.
And you see, because I think when I looked at the numbers last year, I think they were hitting like under $170 against his changeup. Now it's like somewhere in like the 270s to 300s. Like I was like I'm thinking to myself, I gotta pinch myself. Like, is this fucking really real?
Like this dude had a pitch that he used this pitch for his entire career, and he's been putting people away for his entire career with this. Now you have guys batting 270 to 300 against this pitch,
against this changeup.
Like, and are you kidding? I have to agree with you. I expect Miami to drop off. I expect them completely to drop off.
Like, I don't think they're going to be a team they're not going to be god awful. But like I said, they have times they have shown flashes.
They might be like a game and a half out. I don't see them.
They're not. It's not like a super drop off because I think because you have to look at how really young this team really is.
Oh, they're super young. They got a bright future.
They got Yuri Perez, who I know people were kind of some general base fans were pissed he got sent down because number one, he had an innings limit. Because right now they're going to send him back down just to get more seasoning and stuff like that. And then once he comes up, he'll be a complimentary piece to Sandy Alcantara, who I really hope if he takes another step backwards, that is cause for concern for me in terms of for a guy that. Well, let's be real. I know kind of St. Louis is kind of punching themselves. The Cardinals are punching themselves for trading away a boy. And it's like, not just to laugh at that. It's just like, I think there's expectations to be had with Miami, but there's, if you're a Marlins fan, like, and let's be real, I think their fan base is actually pretty chill. Now, yes, I wish sometimes their ballpark, you look at their attendance is not great. But yeah, you do have to draw some of a crowd, but not to the point where it's like a sellout crowd. You don't see like one empty seat. And that's where my concern is with the Miami Marlins. Sometimes it's like you have guys like, like I said, in terms of the pitching, you got Yuri Perez. Like I said, you got young names for days in terms for the Miami Marlins. It's just a lot of times they just and there are times right now. I think that right now, as it stands, they're overachieving as we speak. Like I said, I think they're
definitely going to drop off soon. They're definitely going to drop off.
I would say at least give them about like a 95 loss type of season. That's kind of who Miami really. I say
95 losses.
I do think that's they're kind of the team that's not 100 loss type of team, but they have shown where they
no. I don't think they'll be that bad. I think they'll drop off a little bit. They'll have maybe like a 500 record. They're like an 81 loss team. But
I say 81 to 90 in that ballpark.
Yeah, I would just say 81. I don't see them losing more than like 81 games. Because they have some good pieces. They got Luis Arias, who's like going crazy right now. You have Alcantara. If he can be competent and stop tipping the pitches,
it's not just
fine.
that. I mean, sometimes I feel like it's his confidence level too. Like sometimes he might not look like he's scared, but deep down inside, his confidence level is low as hell. Like
the confidence level, you see it. The confidence level is really, really low.
I mean,
and that's not good. But I don't see them losing 90 to 100 games. I don't see that. I see them losing 81. Because they're all right. I will give them flowers. They are all right. They're an all right team. I know the Philly bias got to your head there, saying they're going to lose 90 games. But
it's just,
I'm realistically speaking here, man.
Well, yeah, realistically.
I'm realistically speaking, and I'm saying They're going to lose 81, maybe 82. I don't see them losing more than that.
I mean, I think I can go with that too because yes, like I said, I'm not going off my Philly bias. It's just sometimes it depends on barring any injuries because sometimes if you talk about it in terms of
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. There had to have been some slight Philly bias there, bro. They're gonna drop off. They're gonna drop off and lose 90 games. What? No, man. No. They're an all right team. I don't see this team of this caliber losing more than 81 games.
I think if you're talking about the most games they could lose, I think it's 85. Realistically, it's the most they can lose. It's
at most it's 82. At most.
Right. Then again,
I don't see 85 losses.
I mean, shit. We've seen where things have happened. So, that's kind of what I love about baseball. It's like you can win like a certain amount of games. You can lose. It's like you don't know. You really can't really put a perfect prediction on it. Like you can make mock predictions about it. It's like you really sometimes. If you have a team that's you would think is like, okay, they're going to be not good, but sometimes, when they have put the right pieces together, they just, go off and be good. So it's like, what the fuck? It makes you. And
then look at last year. It was like that was really anything can happen last year.
Exactly. That's
it was like we get to the playoffs. It's like, what the fuck? Philly's in the World Series. How the hell did that happen?
And me and Tara talked about this too. I think we did like one episode of the Philly Stop podcast because we did talk about like our predictions wise. Because I had us actually losing to the Braves in 5 games. What did they do? They beat them in 5.
I had them losing to St. Louis in 2,
and they beat them in 2.
Okay,
it's like what the
they
fuck?
win 2.
How it's like. Why?
But anyway, back to the Marlins. I don't see them losing more than 82 games.
I'm with you on that. It's just
no.
But I want to give Skip Schumacher a lot of some really good flowers though. Dude was an okay player for his time, but when he actually coached for a young team like the Marlins, I think it was actually to be quite honest, I think that manager change was what really well needed for Miami.
The real test will be next year. That's the real test.
That would but if they can
somehow even get even better under Skip, that man's a good man. But right now I'm thinking, all right. I'm not gonna give him his flowers just yet. I'm going to wait until next year.
Absolutely. Now there's a couple teams I want to discuss that had high expectations but really underperformed. The Mets and the San Diego Padres. Both.
I know. I want to talk about the Padres because I can see where they falter at. I see where they falter at. They've got players. They've got a lot of players with high ego. So much ego on that team.
I mean,
the only way for them to get better is to work as a team and stop being egomaniacs.
I mean, shit.
You got so many egos. You have guys like Machado, but Machado, he's the only level-headed one because he's trying to tell guys, look, put ego aside. Freaking Machado's yelling at the team, dude, do something. He's yelling at these guys, and he's telling these guys, we gotta play better, and they're still not playing better because everyone else can't check their ego at the door.
I mean,
and that's the problem with, and that's an easy fix. Stopping egomaniacs. Now with the Mets, I feel like they overspent for a lot of older guys, and they need to shed that cash. They need to shed that cash, start over, get some quality players in there, and win.
Because it's like the Mets. It's just like I'm not saying they're. I mean, we've seen it in year. Not saying, and we saw it in years past that they're sometimes become like, even though as good as they are, like on paper, they somehow turn out to be like the biggest, one of the biggest laughing stock in the NL East. For whatever reason, they always have these high expectations coming in, and they just always somehow just falter after year after year after year, and they had a couple of big what ifs. The biggest what if for me was David Wright. What if had those injuries not plagued his entire career? Dude could have been another one of the best their best third baseman of all time in terms of the franchise. Dude, hey shit, if you go back to he made a freaking barehanded catch over his shoulder. Like the dude has made significant good amount of plays. The dude can steal bases. Like the dude was a 5-tool player. It was just
they have like this history of like incompetence.
It's like
and that's the thing, man. This year it's like after a really good season, they get high expectations, like you said, and then they just falter. I mean, look what happened after they went to the World Series in 2015.
Yeah, really
high expectations. They faltered in 2016.
Yeah,
and that's their MO since they won the World Series in '86. That was their MO for years. High expectation, low effort, low play.
Just not a good result.
Not a good result. Low results, high expectations, low results. That's how the Mets play.
One of those, and to all those, let's be real, I'm really good friends with a lot of cool Met fans. I think, and we've seen at times, I can sense some of the frustration of some of these Mets fans. Like, look, yeah, they always have good teams on paper, but like we said, they always, like I said, that high expectation comes along with that, and it's a lot of pressure. And some guys just don't handle the pressure. And you see it time and time. And you had guys, not just from 2015, but look at the guys they had overall since after 1986. I mean, if you go look at the 2010s, I mean, you had guys like a prime Noah Syndergaard. Unfortunately, he couldn't stay healthy. Matt Harvey, who
couldn't stay healthy. Yeah, you had Syndergaard couldn't stay healthy. Harvey, he couldn't stay healthy. Then you had DeGrom can't stay healthy. DeGrom couldn't stay healthy. And now you're relying on old guys. Hell, Verlander couldn't even stay healthy. He couldn't even start opening day.
Yeah, it's
and it was like and you were talking and this was on and when I found out, I was on the car ride down to Jersey that first time. This is when you visit me and we cracked a couple cold ones watching the Phillies. And I was on the way down. And you're like, Verlander's hurt. I'm like, oh, here we go with the Mets. It's what happens every year. You get old, injured veterans, or your star players get hurt, and it costs them. But this time, injuries never really costed them. It was just bad play from from a defensive standpoint, from the pitching standpoint, there's been a few times where they got blanked.
Yeah. I mean, look at some of the games that they played. They played like the fucking Bad News Bears. Like they can't even catch a single fucking pop fly.
That game made me laugh. It was on ESPN. That game made me laugh. I'm like, how the hell did you not track that good? How the hell did you not?
I couldn't imagine.
And the thing is, and here's the thing: if it was a day game, I would have forgiven the player. But this was a night game.
That's right. I think you're talking about that Brad Beatty play. He was trying to dove.
That was a night game. You should have seen the ball.
That sometimes it's kind of, and also I think it's the consideration too, like how bright the stadium lights can be, and the ball.
Who cares? You can still see the ball. It's a night game. If it was a day game and it was lost in the sun, fine. It's a damn night game. And it was like, and where he was standing, there was not lights there. Lights are on the corners and shit. Like, you're sitting there and you're trying to track this shit. You can't even track it. The ball, he kind of gets it. He kind of gets there. He leans and
it just misses.
Misses. I'm like, how the hell did you do that?
And you have guys like Pete Alonso, who's been kind of I still like Pete Alonso's game from time to time, but it's just like there are times. I mean, that wrist injury he suffered, I think, in the latter half of the first half of the season, really kind of, really did hurt the Mets a little bit in terms of the power department. Because Marte.
And speaking of power, and another guy that really dropped off is Daniel Vogelback. Really dropped off.
Where fans,
I'm seeing, Mr. Danny Burgers himself. He's not doing as well as he did before.
A lot of Mets fans want him out.
Yeah, I'm seeing analysts. I'm getting random videos because I follow a few Met fans who I'm good friends with. I'm seeing videos of like, their radio stations, their sports radio stations.
Boy.
And a lot of these analysts, man, are saying we want Vogel back on.
Yeah,
a lot of these people, we want Vogel back on.
It's not just Vogel.
If Vogel back goes, we'll be happy. That's the one thing. They don't even care about the team winning games. They're like, we just want Vogel back on. If Vogel back goes, we'll be happy.
It's not just from the incompetence of the front office, making some bad decisions or at the signings. I think it was also part of the injury bug too, when they lost Edwin Diaz from that.
Yeah, they don't have a quad. Yeah, they did have that one injury with Edwin Diaz when he injured his leg in the World Baseball Classic just by celebrating.
And speaking of which, for anybody who does not remember the last time that happened, Kendrys Morales fucking hurt himself. Is that during a home run celebration? Yeah, kind of like coincidence, the most coincidental thing you ever will see, and that's what I love a game about this game as a whole. Like, you got something you don't know what shit can happen. You always got coincidental moments, and that coincidental moment right there. Like I said, if you looked at the way that Edwin Diaz's career has been, had some good years with Seattle, but the team itself were actually hot garbage. Had a 50-plus save season. I think that had been, 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. I could be wrong.
But he goes to the Mets. He goes to the Mets, though, and then he dominates for the Mets. And then he gets hurt.
And was offered and got the bag like he truly deserves as one of the best closers in baseball. And just like I said, just unfortunately that freak accident just knocked him out for the entire year. Shit. Hey, look, shit happens sometimes. I've seen. Look, take it from us. We lost Rhys Hoskins on a non-contact torn ACL. He just was tracking a fly ball and tears his ACL. Like that's part of the game. You freak injuries are waiting to happen. It's like,
yeah, but then again, like, it wasn't really a crucial loss because he's not that great offensively, and he's also a huge liability defensively. Which the entire team is, let's be honest. But he's also a huge liability defensively, so we didn't really lose much by losing him. And he's not really that great.
And like I said, go back to the St. Louis Cardinals too. They're actually willing to ship off a lot of guys. We've seen there might be shipping up Paul Goldschmidt, your 2022 MVP. There's been rumors about Arenado getting shipped out. Wilson Contreras. Who they thought they were going to get. And I think I said this once before. Like, it is hard to find the catcher to replace Yachty.
But here's the thing. When they got Wilson Contreras, I'm like, all right, they might be competent. They might be pretty good still.
Yeah.
I didn't expect a drop off from Contreras. I did not expect that, and I didn't expect this team to be dog shit this year.
They're 45.
I expected maybe a wild card. I didn't expect them to be completely in the basement, no hope at all. But back to the Mets, right? Because we're talking about the wild card teams, and the whole in that division, man, like that.
It's just like.
Those are the two teams that we really don't have hopes on. The Padres and the Mets, and that's really concerning.
And that's really sad to say because both teams are one of the two top talented teams in baseball. It's just if they can't get it together, especially because remember, yes, first half, like you could just throw the first half out the window because it's like you got to kind of get a feel. Like how some of these teams are doing. But if you look at the first half between these two teams, it was not good, for a lack of a better term. And obviously, because right now this is the most important stretch. Yes, I know we're going into August and we got next week is the MLB trade deadline. And, it's others. And some of these teams have crucial decisions to make, especially, like I said, with the Padres and the Mets. What are they going to do? Are they going to really start salary dumping, give it like cutting guys like Justin JV Justin Verlander, maybe Max Scherzer. I mean, you do,
I would.
the pod.
That's the thing. That's the thing with the Mets, bro. They have to
It's
get rid of. They have to get rid of it. They have to get rid of Verlander and Scherzer because they're on the back half of their careers and they have not performed at all.
And it's sad to say because, like I said, I don't really hate the Mets. It's just like I appreciate to see some of the talent that they have, which is they can't put it together. At times, like we said before, you've looked at the teams of yesteryear. They had great talent, cannot put it together. And also, you also blame the fact that they had shitty ownership in the Wilpons who got scammed by Bernie Madoff, but that's a whole nother. That's that's
a whole nother topic there, but yeah, they just never been able to put it together for years, man.
And they just cannot get out of their own way and actually do something different and not change. Because how you're supposed to be a good team and still be stuck in the same ways that what you were in 1986? You really can't. It's I know people don't like change, but change has to be needed. And now, like I say,
here's the thing: 1986, they won the World Series. So, but after 1986, they were terrible for years, and they're still terrible. And they've had they have a random great season, and then they just fall. It's a free fall.
Yeah, it's like it does make you concerned. I would say really not like terribly concerned, like panic concerned, but it makes you wonder. It's like, when's enough? You know what I mean? Like it's time. Like we need guys that need to go. Like we said, Daniel Vogelbach. It obviously we can see the frustration in a lot of Mets fans. I can see why he has to go. I think another guy has to. I would have to take it from the Mets. Starling Marte has not really been.
Oh, he has been.
He's way past. He's not what he was during his time as a Pittsburgh Pirate, who actually has some pretty good seasons as offensively. The dude just I swear, if you throw a wicked slider that's 15 inches out into the other batter's box, he will definitely swing at it. He's that kind of guy that's a free swinger, and I think a lot of times that kind of really bites some of the Mets teams, from the past and even up to the present day, right in the ass. Because they always try to bring in guys that are well past their prime in terms of pitching, or they're bringing in free swingers. Out like at Javi Baez that 1 year, dude's swung at a 59-foot curveball that was nowhere fucking near the plate. It's like
he's still doing that.
It makes
hell. He swung all 3 times, all 3 pitches. Or outside the damn way outside that way. Dude.
But not just from the National League side, but I actually want to kind of talk some of them in the American League too. We can't really keep Seattle.
Yeah, we talked about the NL side. Let's talk about the AL side.
Seattle. For a team that has not made last year and finally broke I could not be more happy for that entire city of Seattle finally making the postseason after 20 years. Could you imagine the amount of frustration and agony you had to sit through for the last 2 days not seeing the postseason? And yes, trust me, we entire know better than anybody have seen it without a decade, so sue us. But regardless, for a team that I had not say high expectations, but expectations to take a leap forward, I don't know. It's like they're kind
they're hovering a bit with being 500.
Right now they're 50-50 right now, as the time of the streaming, and
yeah, they're hovering right now. They need to get going. They need
5-5 of the last 10. They're 5-5 of the last 10 games on a 2-game losing streak, but yet still have a positive run differential of 27.
They got to get going, man. They got to get going because right now they're hovering, and we're going into August.
And you have
going into August, team.
Yeah, and it's bad. Yes, I know they're hovering, but yeah, it's bad. You have the team like the Angels that are a little bit better than you. That's
not really, because they got so many pieces that you kind of expected the Angels to be good. You expected it. It's not like the Angels are a joke. They're not a joke this year. They've actually been playing pretty well.
Well, we'll see. because knowing that, yeah, you might be losing Otani in either the trade deadline or next year's in this upcoming free agency. Or actually, no, sorry, next year's. I'm an idiot because I don't think he. But regardless. But the Angels right now, and speaking of the Angels too, like I said, like Tyler said, there's a lot of pieces that they have. Now, granted, there's some contracts that let's really look at. Oh boy, that's not looking great. I'm looking at you, Anthony Rendon. Your boy.
Yeah, Rendon has been Rendon. The problem with Rendon is he's always hurt.
Injury. The dude from probably the top third baseman, during this time with Washington prior to 2019. And it's like he just this. That's like, what the fuck happened? The dude was a phenomenal defender, had a good bat for years, and just for some reason, after he won the World Series in 2019, goes to Anaheim. Yes, I'm calling the Angels Anaheim because they belong in Anaheim. They're not Los Angeles. But boy, that contract. Sometimes I wonder.
I'm pretty sure it's clearly a head scratcher. It's a
head scratcher. Like, do you really need a guy like?
Because he's in that later part of his career, and that's another point that we're trying to make with the Verlander and the Scherzer situation. We pay all this money for an older guy,
for a player, and the results are not there.
He can't seem to stay on the field.
It's. Yeah, sometimes you have to. At some point, you're going to have to eat. If you decide to DFA him, you're going to have to eat that up. Which, and that's kind of where going back to with the Diamondbacks, which they did with Bumgarner in the early part of the season. Yes, they're willing to make that sacrifice to eat the rest of that contract up. Because like I said, Bumgarner's another guy that at some point needs to call it. Honestly, should have just retired as a Giant, anyways. I'm sorry that's just. That's the way in my thinking. Yes, I know it's kind of hard to tell an athlete you have to retire because we are creatures of habit. That's the kind of the downside, with that. But the Angels now, if they can try to at least play much better down this stretch, they could. And right now, currently as they stand, they're holding. Right now, they're the longest team in the Major League Baseball without seeing the postseason since 2012, I think it's so.
Let me check.
I'm sorry, 2014. I'm a fucking idiot.
Let me check.
It could be 2012 or 2014. I can't think of it.
All right, keyboard pop up. All right, Angels last playoff appearance. It was 2014. Yeah,
2014. Figured. And obviously, that was before Trout's rookie, and that was when Trout was on his way up. That's like, man.
Yeah, Trout was on his way up because he got drafted in 2012. So he was on his way. He was 2 years in the minors, and he was on his way up in 2014.
And that's another thing too, where that's be another topic of discussion. But yeah, if the Angels can keep it up, I mean, look, there are 2 games above 500. Now you have guys are playing, some better baseball. Fortunately, like Mickey Moniak, and just a lot of other guys.
We brushed him. I'm sorry, we brushed him.
That should be a topic. It's not just
that should be a topic of another time. No, that just be a topic of another time. But
teams are rushing.
Yeah, I'm just saying we brushed him. We pushed him to be good immediately. And that wasn't just going to happen overnight.
Yeah, but. I mean, regardless, though, if they still continue playing some good ball, I wouldn't be surprised because right now they're 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. Because as it stands, you have Tampa Bay, Houston, and Toronto. Let's talk about Houston for a little bit. That's a team that I've always had high expectations to always be a consistent division winner. But to see them in a wild card spot,
They had that slow start, man. They had that slow start, but they're not. They're slowly creeping up on that first place. They're slowly creeping up,
which is now currently held by the Texas Rangers, who, honestly, I've been very impressed. For a team that
they've been what I've expected. I told you last year, after the season had ended, that I expect this Texas Rangers team to make a big step up.
And
because that first half last year, I saw potential.
They
I'm like, there's something here. There's something here. Even when they were even when they were losing games last year late, I'm like, there's something here. I see it.
Now, yes, you're willing to put that sacrifice in putting a guy like DeGrom, which I've mentioned before, has not had a healthy season since 2019. Evaldi, for whatever the fuck reason, turned the fucking clocks back. What the hell? It looks like this is like when Evaldi was with the Boston Red Sox, it actually pitched really well in the post, not just the postseason, but in the regular season with the Boston Red Sox. That's kind of what I'm getting out of him. You have Martin Perez, who is Mr. Consistency. The dude it's just an innings eater. Johnny Gray, not great, but it's a solid number 3, number 4 in any type of rotation. Still got some decent stuff. I like Jonah Hahn behind the plate. Marcus Semien has been a very nice addition. Same with when they brought him in along with Corey Seager. And Josh Young's having a really nice rookie season. They got something there in Arlington.
That's exactly what I said last year, man. I said after the season ended last year, I said they have something.
In terms of think about it. They're 59-42. They're 7-3 the last 10 games. They scored 589 times and have given up 439 total runs as a team for a run differential of 100 and plus 150. Yeah. And overall, the expected win-loss against all that 64-37. They're 34-20 at home, 25-22 on the road, and teams that are against 500 teams, they're 31-29 against teams with a 500 record.
Let me look at their projection, though. I'm gonna look at the projection.
This team could be
hold on. But yeah, I'm gonna look at their projection. Projected wins here for a minute. For 2022. You have all these. Fan Nation had this team winning 84 to about 85 games. I
don't see it. I think they're a 90-win plus team.
They are. They're playing like a 90-win plus team. That's exactly what I was going to get to. I don't see this team going 84, 85 wins the way they've been playing.
No, I am sorry. Adolis Garcia is a nice, solid player. Josh Young is actually has turned out a nice rookie season. Marcus Semien is having a good year. Same with Corey Seager. Now, yes, Corey Seager, they had those two guys had to deal with some injuries from time to time, but they got a decent starting rotation. Their bullpen's been pretty nice. Now with the Aroldis Chapman, who is fucking disgusting. What the fuck?
Dude, he even turned back the goddamn clock.
And he
was terrible to Texas.
He was
terrible.
With the Royals,
with the Royals, he was dog shit. He goes to Texas, right? Turns back the clock.
And the Bennett. I would say he wasn't really that bad in Kansas
City. He was bad. He was bad, bro. He was bad with the Rangers.
The one more positive that I've seen out of Chapman, minus his performance, is him bring it back to what he once was, is throwing over triple digits. And now the fact he has done that consistently, now added a sinker at 103, hell fucking no.
Ooh, nah, I won't want to fade, dude. When we played the Rangers, I was afraid that we were going to see Aroldis Chapman. I was afraid.
No, this is because they actually made him acquire about a month ago.
Oh, we didn't play the Rangers yet this year?
No, we opened up against the Rangers and want to get swept back.
I am afraid because if we play and we have to deal with Aroldis Chapman, nope, we're losing that game. If we're down, we're losing that game. But that's the thing, man. The guy was able to turn back the damn clock out of nowhere, seemingly nowhere, bro.
Just somehow, I think it's all even that he was dog shit in Kansas City, but also that stems to the fact after he left the New York Yankees, he actually came back, turned back the clock, even as bad as he was in Kansas City.
Not really. He didn't turn back the clock in Kansas City. He was terrible in Kansas City.
So, and think of this too, in terms of his. So right now, yes, he's 35, singing a 6'4", 235. When I'm looking at his baseball savant page, he's in the top 95th percentile, which is great in average exit velo. He's top 80 in the top 89 percentile in hard hit percentage, xERA and xWOBA. That's 90. He's in the top 1%, which is that in the 99th percentile. Same with expected batting average at top 9 in the 99th percentile. Same with X slugging. Barrel has been needs to work with is his chase rate and his walk rate. But then again, that's kind of the downside of to throw it over 100 miles an hour, and obviously fastball velo that's still at the top, and just disgusting. So overall,
let me look up his 2022 thing here. He was all right. He was actually pretty competent for Royals because he went 4-2 there. But I thought he was bad there. What the hell?
I mean, their team was bad, but
yeah, but dude, I guess the only problem that his pitches weren't as fast as they were.
Especially during his time with the Yankees, which is crazy.
His worst season was 2022. That was his worst season.
Oh yeah, but
he started turning back the clock in Toronto.
So, and it's okay. So, because I mean, in terms of this year, I mean, he has a 1-0 record with a 3.38 ERA. In terms of strikeouts, maybe in a short sample size, 14 strikeouts to 2 walks, which is fucking phenomenal. But
bro, that's crazy. Only 2 walks. That's crazy.
And a short time with Texas, that's saying something. Like whatever's going on in Arlington, but man, they are making him. So this is basically he did add even though he did have a sinker, but he didn't really use it as much. Most of the time, and I'm like I said, he is and it's crazy enough that he's a 4-pitch pitcher, and obviously with the 4-seam fastball, at 52.3% of the time, that's his main pitch. Obviously, he falls in with a slider at 28.3%. Has thrown 182 times. Sinker 75 times at 11.7%, and a splitter which he rarely ever uses, but he'll bust out every now and again. 49 times at a 7.6% clip. But then again, though, I don't think he really needs much to really work with. I mean, he's got a decent arsenal for what he has. I mean, geez, 100-mile fastball. Then you have a sinker that touched 103 in his last outing with the Texas Rangers.
Bro,
that is disgusting.
Dude, that blew my freaking mind.
It's like, how does anybody fucking hit that?
A damn breaking ball that eclipses 100 miles. Like, dude, how the hell?
Especially from a lefty throws a sinker like that at 103, almost 104, with the way that it moves. That's like an inverted frisbee. It's like, how does that?
That's just like shoot, like damn.
It's like, but regardless, man, I think, even if you go to, like, if he becomes a free agent, shit, I would not mind having. I mean, shit. If you think of this too, if it's another signing that I was very skeptical of, Craig Kimbrell, I was very skeptical of him.
Yeah, I was thinking, because going in, he was like, he's not a really good pitcher. I don't know about
from here that. From Dodgers fans, he was a heart attack waiting ahead. But now, yes, granted, Kimbrell has had those moments, but man, he's been very solid. Even though he
really haven't. You don't. But here's the thing: he only had that moment one time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
one time here, once. That was when he tied up the game at like 4, and then we won the game still.
Sometimes, yeah, but yeah, I think another team in terms of the AL wild card, we should, because I want you to go over a couple more teams. Well, I mean, Boston, like I said, going back to Boston, which we did talk about earlier, like they've really. in a way exceeded expectations for in terms of look at the roster construction. You know, it's just like you got Verdugo. He's okay, but he's not a great player. You traded. You made look Kike. I don't think he was really doing much with Boston anyway, so it kind of made
Kike was kind of dropping off. You know, the whole team was dropping off. You know, last year they were not great.
And the fact they're 53 and 47, it's like usually I was thinking it's usually the opposite. You know, I think this, you know, at this point of the season where they're like 40 something wins and almost up to, let's say, about 60 something losses. But no, I mean, they're on a 2-game winning streak. They're 6-4 in the last 10 games with a 40 plus 21 run differential. I mean, right now, Tampa Bay pretty much holds that as the best. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Texas actually holds that right now. And Tampa Bay is second in the major league in terms of run differential.
But, and I'm looking at Verdugo's stats from 2020 to 2023. He's had a huge drop off.
Oh yeah, because
2020 he had a 308 batting average. Now he's only down to 274. So he's starting to really regress a little bit. Regress there.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. And yes, I know people say, "Oh, 274 it's a decent average." I will say, but he looked at like Tyler said, he was hitting like over 300 in 2020. Which sometimes I know a lot of people, like myself included, don't really want to count that season, but we had to anyways. And now he's like in the 270s. Like that's like almost a 30 plus point drop off. You know, in a way you look at it.
And that's a 30. Yeah, it's a 30 plus point drop off. Yeah, his numbers are still good. He's still batting 274. He's given Boston a good season still. Yes, I get that. But eventually, those numbers are going to keep dipping and keep dipping and keep dipping. And he's not going to be that great of a player anymore because he's getting older. He's getting older on that older side. So you gotta realize that, you know.
And right now they're playing. Right now they're on a tough. Right now they're hosting Atlanta and Boston. So that's
beat the shit out of Atlanta, please.
I mean, there's some guys that even looked at this roster, like you never really expect to actually took up a bounce back. Look at Kenley Jansen for crying out loud. I remember freaking most Dodgers fans were bitching and complaining this dude kind of sucked for the last few years. As soon as he goes to Boston, like he somehow bounces back like those 95 plus on a cutter.
When I saw they picked Kenley Jansen up, I'm like, I don't know about that one.
And I know Braves fans
he did not have a good season in LA before he got signed by Boston.
That's right. And also he had a pit stop in Atlanta. I completely forgot about that. I remember some Braves fans were bitching and complaining because he was a guy that just couldn't stay he was inconsistent. Yeah, but I mean,
but here in Boston, he's playing pretty good. I'm like, okay, cool. But
I mean, so right.
But that's the thing, man. You know, a lot of these players, they have like these random resurgences. It's like really
Masataka Yoshida has been impressive. Let's take a look.
Masataka rakes, bro.
I mean, right now he's third. Right now, currently, and so far in the regular season, he's hitting 315 with a 376 on base, 870 OPS. With 11 homers, 51 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, 52 runs scored, and has 107 hits.
Absolutely right, bro. He breaks. He hits the ball. He does it all, man. You know, he's a really good player.
And it's kind of interesting too. In his last set, so overall, in his last 7 games and 30 at bats, he's 10 for 30 with a 333 average, 355 on base. Oh boy, 655 slugging, 2 stolen bases. Yes, the strike. Now that's kind of the downside which you get with Yoshida in terms of he can get a little bit of strikeout happy, but had a homer, 7 RBIs with a walk and 6 Ks. Yeah, that's the strikeouts a little bit. Well, then again, last 15, 60 and 64 at bats, 374. That is just unfair. 375.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, he's raking, bro. He's doing the thing. But yeah, we didn't expect Boston to be really that good this year.
And he's played so far 52 games and left.
But then again, man, then again, Boston, you have they have that roller coaster effect. They're good one year, they're bad one year, then they're good again. It's like, it does get annoying after a while. For a lot of Boston fans, they get
especially
annoyed by
diehard
it.
Boston fans.
Yeah, they get annoyed by it. Like, dude, you have a good season, then you have a crap season, then you're back being good again. Why can't you consistently be good?
So far,
And
yeah, it's like, and going back to Yoshida though, in terms of his entire career numbers, just in his rookie season with Boston, 87 games played, 340 at bats, 52 runs scored, 107 hits, 168 total bases, 22 doubles, 3 triples, 11 homers, 51 RBIs, 28 walks to 43 strikeouts. Yes, now granted, you're not really going to take the walk. Yes, I know that's going to come down. Well, you know, and that's kind of what I've noticed too with some of these power hitters. They're very strikeout happy a lot of times, and yes, and that's kind of what Masataka Shiga is. He's using extra base machine, but the fact that yes, I know the strikeouts are a little bit high, 43 to 20, 43 strikeouts to 28 walks, but then again, what rookie power hitter? And you're also getting. He's also trying to get adjusted to come over from Japan, so you're on a whole different. You're on a whole different side of the world. So I'm not going to be harsh on him.
yeah, and he's a rookie. He's a rookie.
I mean, so far has stolen 8 bags.
You can't really be harsh on the guy.
Overall, he's stolen 8 bags. Has not been caught once. Well, actually, you know what? Knocking on wood, because if I fucking jinx it, I'm going to be pissed for saying that. Don't. Someone clips this,
and then I'll be saying, well, why'd you bring it up?
I think you were gonna bust my balls about that.
I will roast the shit out of you.
You're gonna really. Yep, I figured. But overall, 315, 376 on base, 494 slugging, 870 OPS. And in terms, I would say, what is this? Grounded. So he can, and only times he'll ground out twice, either on the ground or in the air. So he can, yes, he can strike out sometimes, and a lot of times, he does. Surprisingly, for a guy that's a power hitter, can actually put the ball in play when you really have to, which is actually not say surprising, but it is kind of surprising in terms of because usually when you think of power hitters, you think of just either home runs or bust. But Masataka Yoshida is pretty much the complete package what you got, and Boston. I thought Boston really got themselves a really good deal with him. I think it was like 5 years, 90 mil.
Rob, I got a question.
What's that?
What is that in the comments?
Oh,
Marquee Sports Network.
Oh, we have a couple. We have a White Sox and Cubs fan part of the network as well. More diversity.
Nice. All right, that's cool. That's cool.
Yes, I know a lot. This is the end of the year of advanced stats. He has 36 extra base hits, like I said, with 168 total bases and 375 plate appearances. He's grounded into a double play 11 times. Back, 50 times in ground ball double play opportunities. He's seen 1,441 pitches. That's almost 4 pitches per plate appearance. Has reached on error 6 times. They don't left on base 153 times. Now that's another thing too that's kind of been a little bit concerning with the Boston Red Sox. They leave them in a lot on base. In some of the games that I've watched, they're not great with runners in scoring position, but they just seem to leave a ton on. And mostly, and he takes a bit portion of that, 153 times on base. He has one sacrifice sack fly. Then again, I mean, no one really cares about the old school, but has really provided, for a guy that's right now in his age 30 season, which is phenomenal to see. And just speaking of Justin, we did talk about Justin Turner. Let's kind of look at his numbers so far. Yes, in age 38, overall hitting 286 with a 355 on base, 835 OPS, 16 homers, 64 RBIs, 44 stolen bases, and 387 at bats with 63 runs scored. That's just during his time as a designated hitter for Justin Turner, which
for a man to be 38, performing at a high level like that,
hey,
holy shit!
And yes, I know his last year with the Dodgers hasn't really been so hot.
Yeah, he was almost under the Mendoza line there. For a minute.
Yeah,
that was concerning. He was like 200 for a few seasons, and it was like then he was down to like, it was bad, man.
He's been in the league since 2009.
Yeah.
And the team, he obviously was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds in 06. Number 7th round was a 7th rounder, pick 204. Obviously, spent time with Baltimore. Obviously, a lot of Mets fans don't really remember him as much. For about from 2010 to about 2013, and then once he got to the Dodgers, I mean, look, even this time with New York, 2010. Oh boy, that was not great. He was in the $125 in 2010 with the Mets. 2011 bumped it up to 260, now to 269 in 2012. 2013, actually 280 batting average, 319 on base, 385 slugging. Yes, I know the average slugging back then. I think it was just barely over 400. So he was below average of a slug, but not really much to really, pretty much not really be terrible. But yes, the OPS, it was below league average at the time, because usually I think it's league average. I think it's at the time. I think now it's like just slightly over 700. Because usually if it's like either in the mid to high 700s, you're at least about average. In the 800s, usually is above average. 900. The way we look at it, if you break it down, the OPS, it's like the high 700, mid to high 700s, you're average. Above in the 800s, you're about average. And obviously the 900s to 1,000, you're pretty much an elite, is basically what we're looking at. But the dude just great during this time with it. But then again, his last year with the Dodgers was hitting 278, 350 with a 438 slugging with a 788 OPS. So he didn't really have a bad coming, going away with the Dodgers. But I'm just surprised they actually just let him walk.
Yeah, because he wasn't really doing too much for them, and he wasn't really doing.
And then they were just trying to get young.
He had that good send off, and plus they were getting newer guys in that system,
And
they were
look at in terms of the pitching,
Brandon
Bello has been freaking nasty in a very short amount of time. Now, for the love of it, and if you talk about if you're a Boston fan, we're kind of skeptical of kind of any signings. How about James Paxton? Was a guy that, even though I don't really watch much Boston baseball, but I could see the skepticism in there. It's like, can he really stay healthy for the Big Maple? And finally, he has. I mean, sitting at 6'4", Jesus. Anyway, that seems like, man, you got guys. So overall, not too shabby. 6-2 with a 3.46 ERA and 12 games started, 75 strikeouts and 65 innings of work, with a whip of just even at 1. I thought we would take a step backwards in terms. Just because of his age.
Some guys, they don't take step backwards and they retire really, really good players. I guess this is like one of their cases. But anyway, so we covered Boston. Last player.
Or the last team we want to cover in terms of the AL wild card. Toronto. I want to talk a little bit of Toronto a little bit. I know Toronto's just one of those teams that they don't really have like super high expectations, but they do have some expectations to at least be very competitive. And for a lot of times, people really don't remember the last time the Toronto Blue Jays ever won a World Series was back in 1993 over us. You're not going to leave it at that. And it's like,
I don't want to talk about that. Let's keep the history lesson on
a different note, but
on a different note, because I want to talk about that 93 World Series, and we went off the beaten path last time.
But with Toronto, yes, right now currently they're sitting at 56-45, but I'm not too bad though on the 2-game winning streak. But there are times you have seen this team where they have, in a way, kind of underperformed, but some really.
Oh my God! Dude, talk about yeah, they've underperformed massively, bro.
It depends on who you're at. It depends on if it's either offensively, defensively, or in the pitching wise. Honestly, for me, my biggest criticism I always have with the Toronto Blue Jays is their bullpen, mostly the back.
Yeah, their bullpen is pretty shoddy. It's pretty shoddy, dude. It's It's not great. It's not great in the bullpen side. It really isn't. The offense is fine. You got Vlad Guerrero there, and you got all these other pieces there.
Bichette, Kevin Biggio's been very disappointing.
Yeah, but you have all these guys that the offense can still be competent, but then you have this bullpen that's like super shoddy. That's their biggest breaking point right now, and right now they have a good record, but they're like what?
They're right now they're holding the third wild card spot as it is at 56-45.
They're really holding that third wild card spot. They're really holding on, but that bullpen they need
barely by 2.5 games, and Boston is on the outside looking in.
Yeah, Boston's like right there. Boston's right there, and if that bullpen keeps blowing games, man.
I mean,
I'm sorry, but that's the thing, man. That's the thing.
Pitching has not been terrible. I mean, in terms of runs allowed as a pitching group, that's combined both the bullpen and the starters. They gave up 414 runs as a team from the pitching side of things. Because right now, in terms of you look at the rest, the rest of this team right now, the best run allowed, or the teams that gave the fewest runs, is Tampa Bay. And that's what I've and that's what we'll touch a bit with Toronto, and and that's sort of thing too. Like you notice with some of these teams are in different size markets. You got Tampa Bay, small market team, for some reason still kept with that Moneyball analytic stuff, and it's actually worked out really well for them. And you got Toronto, have got sons of the former major leaguers. You have Bo Bichette, of Dante Bichette, for like a lot of older fans will know who that is. Like myself included, knows who Vlad Guerrero Sr. was. Dude could fucking drop kick a ball like that's like literally like 59. Can make it look like goddamn Javi Baez look like a chump. But that's besides the point. You have Kevin Biggio, the son of Craig Biggio, who me and Tyler know as Phillies fans was a pain in the fucking ass. When we
don't even mention the shit. I don't even mention it. That gives me nightmares. But anyway.
But regardless.
But you have these sons of major league players, so they should know how to like really hone in that crap. And Vlad's been going crazy. Vlad's been going crazy since he came to the league.
Has been red hot. But the only one out of that three who's been very disappointing has been Kevin Biggio. I've seen a lot of Blue Jays fans and contractors, we're kind of discussing like about moving on from Kevin Biggio, like send him somewhere, like give him a change of scenery. It's kind of interesting to see. Obviously you have Alek Manoah, who, for a guy that was in finished third in the Cy Young voting last year, and compared to what he is now. Now, yes, people can attest. It's the pitch clock. There's the new rules and all this shit. And a lot of times also it could be a little bit of a weight issue, I think. But ever since he came back from the, since his little bit stint with the minor leagues, now, yes, granted, the fact he got lit up in rookie ball, that, boy, I'm thinking to myself, man, that is how bad do you have
he got lit up, dude. The guy got lit up from a bunch of 17-year-olds.
How bad do you have to be
Bro, you have to be absolutely atrocious to be getting lit up by a bunch of 17-year-olds.
Even though it's kind of hard to watch minor league games, but what I've noticed ever since he came back was a little bit to actually tweak his mechanics during his time with, I think it was the New Hampshire Fisher Cast, which is their AA affiliate, where they actually kind of helped him get accustomed to the pitch, not just get accustomed with the pitch off, but be quicker with it. And you see it at times, where he has outings where he actually look like he's the kind of guy that was the Cy Young runner-up of last year. Yes, I know the numbers that's not great, but Manoah has been very solid. Right now, the best solid pitcher in terms of starting wise is Kevin Gausman. Yes, I mean he has some little bit of rough outings as of recently. Chris Bassett has been a nice addition, but Alek Manoah has been, I would say it's been disappointing, but he has kind of bounced back from being disappointing, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and it's like, and at times, how much longer do you going to have with Matt Chapman, who's been known as just a defensive specialist? His bat kind of stinks a little bit. Springer, I like what he brings, but he's got to stay fucking healthy. He's another that's been freaking injury prone as hell, for lack of a better term. Obviously, they're also linked to reunite with Teoscar Hernandez, to bring him back to Toronto. But yeah, it's like Toronto. I wouldn't really say they're the team that can always be good, but you want to see more from this Toronto team. In terms
that's the thing. It's like you want to see more. You want to see more success from this team, but they're not giving it to you because, again, shoddy bullpen. Then the Alex Manoah situation where he was dog shit the first half, and he got sent down to amateur ball.
And rookie ball. Like I've never seen anybody who gets optioned to the minor leagues to rookie ball. And the fact he got lit up in 2 2/3 innings for 11 runs, like what the hell?
And we were thinking, oh no, this is bad for Toronto.
Yeah, this is.
We were thinking we all and don't lie, baseball fans. Everyone was thinking that, oh no, what's going on with Alec? What the hell is going on with him? Well, Alex, what the hell is going on with him? It's just bad. It was just bad, but he kind of worked through that. He's gotten better, and we're proud that he's gotten better there. But the problem is, they have something here, but they're not living up to that potential.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like if you go back to look at last year in that wild card race, boy, like I said, and that proves back to Tyler's point. Their shoddy bullpen costing the game that wild card series against the Seattle Mariners. Like, first of all, in game 3 of that wild card series, you were on 8-1, and your defense was actually fucking atrocious. Your bullpen was giving up fucking runs. Like you like the thing with Toronto and me, in short, is like they're very inconsistent.
Yeah,
say they're going to go on a 5-game winning streak. Next thing you know, you'll see like lose 5 or 6 straight. It's like, what the
that's a problem. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to that game, right, in the wild card round last year. So you have an 8-1 lead. You're riding high. Bullpen comes in. You all of a sudden lose 9-8. That right there, man. That right there. That should have told you need to work on
that
bullpen.
Team stood in terms of other pitching.
They didn't do anything. They did not do anything to fix that bullpen. They didn't do nothing.
And that's why I've seen a lot of complaints from a lot of Blue Jays fans. They do not like Ross Atkins as a general manager for this franchise. It's like he doesn't really want to do much to really help this team. It's like, look, if you want to be a World Series contender, you're going to have to go outside the boundaries. Stop trying to be restricted. And that's a lot of times, where I have issues with some of these general managers. They're too shy to become a World Series contender. I mean, shit. You don't see the Houston Astros being fucking shy. Shit. They decided they just know how to develop talent, and they actually had a replacement Justin Verlander, who has actually in Hunter Brown, who's been less for nothing but short of fucking disgusting, but at times has, there's some things to work out, which I think Houston will find a way to figure out. Who's another team I can think of? Or you have high expectations like the New York Yankees, and somehow you always fucking falter for whatever reason. If it's either Stanton that goes down with an injury, or if it's Aaron Judge. And for whatever reason, ever since when Judge went down with that toe injury, they've been fucking god awful. It's like Rodon I don't think got lit. I think he did not really have a good first start. He had to deal with a fucking injury way before the season even fucking started. It's like, boy, we're already off. Some teams already off on the wrong foot. Is basically what I'm saying in short. But overall, it's just like I said with Toronto, I want to see more for this team that has, is young. They got some mixture of some good veterans. It's just like, if you can't really put together, you're barely, like we said, you're barely hanging on to a wild card spot by 2.5 games. You got a Boston Red Sox team that, like I said, are exceeding expectations. But if they get hot at the right time, boy, Toronto, you're going to be you're going to be in trouble. in terms of the wild card race. Because right now you ain't going to really be catching either Tampa Bay or Baltimore for the division, and that that kind of that's the one thing I want to for our viewers out there, for those our general baseball viewers out there to think. With Toronto being as not like they're not like I said, they're always going to be a good team. But like we said, we want to see more. We need better expectations from this squad. And, obviously, the front office needs to do a better job of, getting better players to really improve this roster. The fact you traded, well, I don't know exactly what you gave up to get Matt Chapman. And he's been so-so. Defensively, he's actually been pretty fine. But like I said, you got to have guys out there who could be better be both good offensively and defensively. Kevin Kiermaier actually has been a very nice addition as well. I think I've seen, even though his bat's not been, he's actually gotten better offensively ever since he left Tampa Bay. Now that I think about it, which is kind of crazy to see. It's like the dude, as I know the dude's a defensive specialist, but the dude has gotten better offensively. And that's the thing too. What I like about this sport as well, you have seen guys have gotten better in terms of where their weaknesses are. Kevin Kiermaier was always known as a defensive specialist during his time with Tampa Bay. Goes to Toronto. Whatever they're doing over there in terms of the hitting philosophy, has done pretty well. Guy like Christian Pache in that same kind of spot. Dude had a very inconsistent bat, but not great. But was also known for his defense, and came to Philly, and he's doing some wonders.
Look at Marsh. The guy was batting 200 in L.A. Comes to Philly, he's batting 300.
Yeah, and right now, currently, and stuff like that. It also depends on the teams who have really good coaching, and like I said, sometimes we do knock on the Angels for sometimes. I say more than most of the time because their coaching has kind of stinking a lot. But actually, not as recently, their coach has been pretty. I really have to say, been very solid in terms of. Of getting production out of some young players. Look at Mickey Moniak. They're letting him get a chance to play and kind of get very comfortable at the major league level. And the dude got 11, 12 home runs or something like that. And he's hitting over 330. It's like it's kind of getting that kind of how we were giving Marsh. You kind of get that Marsh treatment in a bit. But yeah, I mean Toronto. Like I said, if you do not play better down this stretch, it's going to be another long year and another tough offseason for you to really, because if you can get that on paper, I think this team could be a division winner on paper. It's just the execution is not there when I really want to see it. Tyler, take it away for the final, because that's my last and final thoughts on the Toronto Blue Jays.
I don't really have any thoughts about the Blue Jays. They need to get better with that bullpen, and that's all I've got to say about the Blue Jays. But now I want to talk about Philly for a second. Get your head out of your goddamn ass, Philly. Please, for the love of God. And I'm not going to go and blame the manager. I'm not going to go and blame this guy, that guy. I'm not going to finger point. The team in general needs to get it together. You're only a half game out of that wild card as of right now. That's you gotta get together. You gotta get it together. You gotta win games. We're going into August. Got to win. If you don't win, and right now you're losing to Baltimore again. And honestly, if you keep doing this, you're out of the playoffs. Bye playoffs.
Because right now you have, like I said, like we mentioned before, you have a three team tie for a wild card spot in Miami, Arizona, and San Francisco. Because right now, and then we'll be a game out. Right now, the only other team that's outside looking in behind us is Chicago, and that's not.
Listen, Philly, get your head out of your ass. That's all I gotta say. But for the rest of the league, we've seen a lot of crazy moments, a lot of good games, a lot of
absolutely
different scenarios in the league. Going into that first after that first half. Again, we're sorry that we didn't do this show a lot sooner. But we had other obligations. My buddy with job searching at that point in time, and we just forgot about this show and stuff like that. And we also forgot about we also had like many different other shows. We had like the wrestling stuff, and then we had the WNBA stuff, and the play-by-plays and stuff like that. But training camp has started in the NFL, so
yeah,
very soon you'll see a lot more content there. But I'm gonna say this right now. Training camp started today, so that means right around the corner, the Pigskin Recap will be coming simulcasted. It's no longer a Hardcore Sports exclusive. It'll be simulcasted both on this channel and Hardcore Sports and All Star Sports if you want to put it there too.
Hell yeah.
So we're no longer a Hardcore Sports exclusive. We will be on 3 separate channels: the All Star Sports Network, Hardcore Sports Network, and the Sports and Wrestling Connection. So you can watch it here. You can watch it again on Hardcore Sports, or you can watch it on All Star Sports. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to all 3 of those channels.
Absolutely.
Because that's greatly appreciated, and I'm happy we brought this show back. By the way, it was very 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 fun. But those are my final thoughts. Those are my things, and I wanted to plug the Pigskin Recap since training camp started the other day, and we're right around the corner for that. And that's all I got to say, man.
And with that being said, this is going to conclude episode 13 of the Between the Lines. You're going to see us again back at next week. Actually, think about it. We're going to actually do a bit of a different format. So we're going to do it as a trade deadline edition. So it's going to be a nice little special episode. So we're going to just talk a little bit more baseball and stuff like that while the trade deadline is going to be occurring at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys want to come in and hang out with me and Tyler, we can't wait, because it's going to be interesting to see how these
any of the people who are in the Hardcore Sports Network, the All Star Sports Network, you're going to come in and stream with us, you can, for sure.
Absolutely.
To talk baseball and see how your team is going to fare this trade deadline coming up.
It's going to be this trade deadline is going to be a very interesting and very important for a lot of teams that really want to push for either the division or a wild card spot. But only time will tell until next week. And that being said, my friends, and we are out.
Peace.